Recording. Here we go. We are live, and you are ready for this.
What's the real deal with Jeff Deal? Fact. Deal has had his chance and lost his home state Senate race by 17 points, U.S. Senate by 36 points, and did not even get one vote for Mass GOP chairmanship. We can't defeat Healy with the losing Deal.
A breath of fresh air. Our guest tonight on the RINO podcast is the one and only Chris Doughty. He is a candidate for governor of Massachusetts. We are very pleased to have him on the show. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
Hey, Jeff and Kaitlin, what a treat to be here. So thank you so much for having me on.
I love that ad.
Yeah.
I love that ad. I like when the candidates I prefer are willing to hit, okay? And just not exaggerate, not lie, not do anything that other than speak the truth and go, I'm better than my opponent. And kudos to you for doing so. I think we are in good shape for the primary. You know what? This is a great thing. I tweeted this out the other week. I was watching television, live television, and I saw an ad for governor for you. What an amazing concept, Chris, that you have enough money and you're running a campaign where you can put ads on the actual television screen. Good for you.
Well,
Yes.
and Jeff, you're one of the few people that actually still watches broadcast television. So thank you.
Well, this was a Red Sox game, so I can't like it actually.
Gen Xer over here.
Yeah.
Gen Xer here.
I'm Gen X, and Kaitlin is an awful millennial. So I rib her lovingly about that. But no, it's true. But that's where the voters are. The voters are still watching traditional broadcasting. They're watching the 6 o'clock news. They're watching the Red Sox game. They're watching television. And granted, I've seen more of Healy's ads, but I've also seen your ads. Seen some Attorney General ads as well. But noticeably absent are Jeff Deal's ads because he's broke and he doesn't have any. So I am a fan of seriousness in our politics, and I know Kaitlin is as well, and that's why we're pleased to have you on. So now enough kissing your butt. We have some questions for you, Kaitlin. Kaitlin and I actually were DMing before. We have the same question. I'll leave it and turn it over to my wonderful co-host. What would we like to ask, Chris?
Okay. So one of the first questions that I have is, what do you think one of the biggest problems for the state of Massachusetts is, and how would you solve that as governor?
Okay, by far, and this is my primary message, is affordability. It's too expensive to live in Massachusetts. We're the third highest in the nation on utilities. We're top 5 for housing, transportation, even groceries. We're in the top 3 for groceries. The list goes on and on. Medical, we're one of the top most expensive states in America. You know, if you think about it, almost everything you and I buy in Massachusetts, we pay more than 90% of our fellow Americans. And it has a lot of problems. One is it's hard for working families, senior citizens. It's hard for young families trying to get established, like my own adult children. And it's particularly hard for businesses to survive here. And so for this reason, we have large businesses looking to leave, like Raytheon and many others, but it's hard for small businesses to get started here also, particularly if they're trying to compete with businesses outside of the state. So that's the affordability is the number one problem. Now, what can I do as governor? Well, I'll tell you what other governors are doing is lowering taxes very quickly. In fact, over 30 states in America have already lowered taxes significantly for their citizens because it's quick and easy. You can just do it right away. And so on day one, I've put forth a tax plan to just start lowering taxes. Let's start getting money into people's pockets out of the state house. We have this enormous surplus of $3.5 billion, but so do other states. Now, what the other states have done is lower taxes. And we've done zero in Massachusetts. In fact, our neighbor, Connecticut, they just got rid of their gas tax. You know, it's $40, $50, $100 a month. but that helps. And that's one of many things that I would like to do. So now we could go into utility rates are way too high. Those are longer term to fix those problems. Housing is way too expensive in our state. That's longer term to fix those things. But we can talk about long-term plans, but short term, we can start just bringing down our taxes.
I'm a fan of that. We are two Republicans, so you're going to have a receptive audience to that. And I think any sensible person with a $3.5 billion surplus would say, yeah, that's our money. Now, look, it's easy when we are amongst Republicans to bash progressives because they have horribly bad ideas. And we're going to get into the campaigning aspect of that in a second, because I don't think Maura Healey is as strong as a lot of people want to make her out to be. I don't think she's ever had a competitive race. She doesn't know how to truly campaign for an office that I don't think she's qualified for. Lawyers and attorneys general don't necessarily and rarely make good executives. But as far as taxes go, you mentioned cutting the gas tax. Fuel is at an all-time high. Fuel is still, gallon of gas is still over $4 a gallon here. Why have we not gotten any movement? I mean, look, Governor Baker's done a fine job. He's exhausted. I get it. So maybe he's just done. He's kind of checked out. And, you know, what is it, second semester senior year, when we were like, all like, all right, I'm just kind of out. I think he's there, and I respect that to some level. But at the same time, you know, suspending the gas tax or eliminating it would do a lot of good. That $40 or $50 for, you know, your person who drives a Tesla isn't that big a deal. But it's a big deal to most of the working class in this state. How do you get that done as governor with what I'll call, you know, a super majority of Democrats? How would you get that done? How would you accomplish it?
Well, you know, the way I've done in my business life is really focus on problems, not people. I don't think parties solve problems. I think it's people solve problems. And I think we have to come to consensus with the legislature. What problems are we trying to fix? And, you know, I want to work with the legislature on that problem. I think they'll agree with me that the number one problem in our state is affordability. And I haven't had a chance to talk to them, but I have a feeling they believe that. And so we just have to focus on the problem and how to solve it. And I don't know their reasoning. I've heard the discussion has taken place regarding the 64F. That was the 1986 law that required the excess funds to go back to taxpayers. I've heard that the leadership and the legislature does not want to give any money back, that they want to keep it. So they're trying to figure out how to override that law. But I haven't had a chance to find out why. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. We have this surplus that's growing every day. Like, what exactly, where are they trying to spend it outside of a budget that's already established?
They'll think of reasons to spend it or ways to spend it.
Yeah.
I don't
They'll
think.
find a way.
See, this is the thing. I understand it in the sense that, like, they want it because it's ours. It's not, I mean, look, I know it'd be like, it doesn't make sense to you because you have a brain and have run a business and live in the real world. They don't live in the same world that we live in. They live in a world where they take our money and then it becomes their money, and they'll figure out ways to spend our money. I would love that for it to not make sense to them and go, yeah, okay, 1986 law, kick it in, give everybody money back. But we're not dealing with that. So I think one of the things, well, I'll say this as somebody who helped get Governor Baker elected, you know, helped fundraise for him, helped knock on doors. I am disappointed that he has not spent more of his political capital as being a very popular politician to kind of use the bully pulpit and say, you know what? Let's give the hardworking people of Massachusetts a break and give them their money back. I mean, it's a very strong message because it's a true message. And it's something that, you know, there is that partisan divide, but this isn't hyper partisan. This is, you know, 1980s, 1990s style. Like, come on, guys, wake up. You don't want to be Taxachusetts again. I'm not asking you or going to put you on the spot to say that, but it's something I would want to see. And I think a lot of the middle of the road folks out there would want to see as well, is someone advocating for that, because I don't see that in the press. I don't see that from our leaders who are advocating for that to happen. Or if they are, it's not as strong or as forceful as I think it could be. I mean, would you be more of that advocate than we've seen?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm running. That's why I'm here. I'm not here as a step on the career ladder as a politician. I'm here to solve problems. And if I have to elbow and ruffle some feathers, I'll do it, because otherwise I'm wasting my time and my energy and my resources. There are specific problems I want people to hire me to solve. And I want them to know what the problems are and how I want to solve them before I get elected. So when I go there, I can be, pretty straightforward and plain spoken and say, I was hired to fix these problems, and you've got to be on the team with me to solve them. And if you're not, we're going to have a really sort of public discussion about why you're not solving these problems that the citizens have. And so, but that'll be plan C. Plan A will be behind closed doors, saying, I'm hired to solve this problem with you, and I want to do it with you. Right. And I want to do teamwork, and I want to hear you out, and I want to listen and ask a lot of questions, but I'm going to solve these problems one way or the other. That's what I was hired to do.
And I think that's where Governor Baker was successful, I'd say, the first 4 to 6 years of his administration, taking it behind closed doors, not having to do it publicly, working with the leadership, previous leadership, both the Senate and the House, to get more of the agenda that he wanted to get done. So I think that tactic will do well. But some of the other issues you mentioned, I'm going to queue up something for the folks at home here. Let me do a quick little screen share for our guests. And now we have this one.
Maura Healey is pushing a radical, unworkable, progressive agenda that could lead to rolling blackouts and record high costs.
Remember, I stopped 2 gas pipelines from coming into this state.
While offering tips to cover your windows. Hey Maura, you can keep your not so helpful tips. We want clean natural gas, clean hydro, and wind power. Chris Doughty, the conservative outsider, is for an all of the above energy plan to drive down electricity rates. Keep more of your dough with Doughty.
All right, one, I love that tagline of keeping more of your dough. Keep with that. That's good. Very well done. 2, natural gas, for those at home who may not know, burns, I believe, 1/3 as clean or cleaner. It's 2/3 cleaner. It's 1/3 as dirty as oil when you're trying to heat your home, cook your food, or make electricity. Natural gas is abundant. Fracking has made it so abundant and cheap and readily available, well, until Joe Biden, became our president. But it is a fantastic source of fuel. And there is now this big push that through the legislature to ban certain cities for any new buildings from using fossil fuels. Maura Healey says it in that ad, great ad, that she has stopped 2 natural gas pipelines. Chris, you talked about affordability. What are you going to unleash the resources that we have in this country and actually help lower the cost for this by using, yes, okay, wind, solar, great, but really it's going to be natural gas. And then I want to ask you about nuclear. What do you think?
Yeah. So I talk a lot about electricity because Maura Healey should not be running for governor. She should be on an apology tour. She has single-handedly caused more damage to the state of Massachusetts than probably any politician in our history. And she owes a huge apology. And I'm going to call her out on it, that she needs to go around the state making deep apologies to every industry that's leaving or have left because of the high cost of utilities. And she's made the planet dirtier. That's the worst part, is she got the headline, got the name recognition, but she made the world dirtier and made Massachusetts more expensive. In my opinion, she owes a deep apology to Mother Earth and every citizen of our state. As you're pointing out, natural gas, clean natural gas, is a reliable, good inexpensive source of electricity. And it's frankly how we create electricity, which is the irony of the whole thing, is that she wants to disconnect all the buildings from natural gas to buy electricity, but electricity is made from natural gas. It's just thoughtless. It doesn't make any sense at all. So as governor, as soon as she's out of office, hopefully we will hire an attorney general that has some basic understanding of economics and how energy is produced. And let's bring in some clean natural gas in these pipelines. The pipelines actually come right to our state. So This is not a huge investment to start bringing in clean natural gas. Hydropower from Canada, we can come in through Vermont. I talked to Governor Scott already about this. It's more expensive than through Maine and New Hampshire, but if we need to, we'll spend a little bit of extra money and bring it in through Vermont. So we'll get hydro, we'll get some natural gas, we'll use the renewables, and we'll start increasing our supply. Once we get our supply up, then we can start bringing the cost down. My goal is to get our electric rates out of the top 10 within my first term. Longer term, within a decade or so, I'd like to see us near the average of the US in terms of our electric rates. Then we can be competitive. I talked to the CEO of one of the largest companies in our state, and he said their company's doing really well. They're building facilities, they got biotech. And I said, well, are you going to build anything in Massachusetts? And he said, oh, no, I'm not going to build anything in Massachusetts because the utilities are too high. And industry uses a lot of utilities. And I thought, man, Maura Healey, she's got to go on an apology tour, because here's one of the CEOs of one of our biggest companies in our state that won't invest in our home state because of the high cost of utilities. It's just, she should be embarrassed. Now, as far as nuclear goes, my opinion is I would like it to be federal, not state, because I would like to see a standardized nuclear plant that has been tested and proven and works, and we have the same one throughout the whole country.
Well, there's these new,
you know, like they do in France.
Yeah, there's this new technology. It's like SNR, like small nuclear reactor. It's not like the big plants that they had that traditionally that were built in the 60s or 70s. There's new technologies that can sort of shrink everything down and produce quite a bit of energy on a smaller platform, but still, generate enough. So that looks promising. But you see the progressives like Maura Healey, and you see it in Gavin Newsom. You see it in Hochul in New York, where they're passing these inane laws about, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kaitlin, by 2035 is Massachusetts part? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just looking that up. California is banning the sale of new gas cars by 2035. So all the vehicles that are sold in California have to be electric vehicles. That would be great, right? But what a nice concept. Okay, that's awesome. The problem is that their electrical grid in California is not great, and they have rolling blackouts all the time because they have serious energy problems in California. So when I hear Maura Healey or any of these other progressive heroes talk about similar policy, and they haven't taken care of our our power grid needs, like that's a serious problem, right? So when that's one of the things I do keep in the back of my head. I consider myself a high information voter. So, Maura Healey has a very bad
has Massachusetts
energy.
Have we signed on to that 2035? Like, that's it's 12 years, a dozen years.
I don't think they have. I know that Glenn Youngkin down in Virginia, when they passed it, California immediately came out and was like, we're going to try to get ourselves out of this.
It's insane. It's insane. It's an insane idea that we can totally phase out traditional vehicles within a dozen years, and set ourselves up for failure because we won't have the electrical grid. Plus, also put that downward pressure on the working class people to not buy a new car because they can't afford
Right. We just don't have the infrastructure to be able to handle that kind of concept yet. Like, we're just not there, and we need to be realistic about that. You're not going to be able to push it in 10 years if you can't even take care of your own state budget to the point where you can actually do something about the struggling power grids of California.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. And the hypocrisy of the whole thing is Maura started running an ad recently. I don't know if you've seen her ad, but she says she's for lower taxes and affordability. And I hope everyone laughs at that because, this idea of, okay, we're gonna have no gas, we're gonna have all electric, for her to say she's the affordability governor, the hypocrisy, it's almost humorous. And I hope people get a chuckle out of Maura now saying that she's for lower taxes and more affordability.
Okay, so
I know she's absolutely
no. Well,
sorry, I was just going to say, I know
no.
she's absolutely itching to get rid of gas cars. I know the first thing she'll do as governor is get rid of gas cars in Massachusetts.
Yeah, she'll try to do some type of
Yeah.
bill that would match California's. I mean, she would do that without really truly addressing the power and infrastructure issues that are behind that, right? So like that's the biggest concern. It always is.
But that shows that to me, that's a sign. What is she running on? She's not running on bold progressive values or a bold progressive vision like you heard 3, 4, 5 years ago out of the left. She's running on, but she's running on Republican talking points.
Yeah, she's using what she's ripping off of Chris's campaign essentially, but utilizing progressive ideology behind it. But it doesn't make it better.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't subsidize electrical vehicles without doubt. We have found out with the Biden's Inflation Reduction Act that he gave tax subsidies to electric people within a certain tax bracket for electric vehicles, and then Ford just raises their prices the exact amount of the subsidy.
And then a week later, after he gets the win, shoots himself in the foot by canceling student debt. That passes it on to all working class people all over the country. So if you were smart enough to either pay off school, pay off your loans, put yourself through school, or save up for your kids' college, or decide to go right into the working force, there's a big ass middle finger right to you.
Oh my gosh, Jeff, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so I do want to hear, Chris, do you have any policy, I guess, remedies for our educational system and how to strengthen it in the state of Massachusetts?
Yeah, I do. So I have 6 children. They've all grown up. I have 4 grandchildren. So public education is really near and dear to my heart. My kids all went through public education. So we're well ranked in America. We're somewhat of the jewel of the public education system in America. But it's not evenly distributed. We have really great schools, and then we have some of the worst schools. So that's a problem that's been around for a while. The problem there is teacher turnover in our gateway communities, if you will. We have teacher turnover that's over 40%. I'll tell you, in the private sector, your business is basically out of business. You have 40% turnover. Day one, we got to fix that. We got to go to our gateway cities and say, okay, why are the teachers not staying? What's the problem? And how do we fix it? Is it compensation, benefits? Is it we're asking them to do too much? We just have to fix their careers. I don't think there's anything magical. But it's what I've been doing my whole life, is figuring out why are the employees unhappy and how do we make them happy? It's simply a matter of just asking them. They'll tell us. And we got to get the turnover down. My goal is to get a teacher turnover under 90%. And so that we're only losing 10% of the teachers per year. With that, once we're there, then training teachers, making sure they feel appreciated, acknowledged, recognized, they have the resources they need, and that they stay in the classroom. Right now, they're being pulled out of the classroom for countless paperwork that the state wants them to do, the city, the town. We got to say, no, we want you to stay in the classroom teaching. Then we've got to create opportunities in our classrooms for children that just don't feel challenged. And I've had some children that school just didn't challenge them. It was too easy. And we've got to have AP classes. We've got to have labs. We've got to have things that challenge them. But for those children that are struggling, and I've had those too, we have to have opportunities for them to have the resources they need to help them with reading, writing, arithmetic, whatever's needed. And so I think there's a lot of things we can do to fix our education by just focusing on really basic issues of employee turnover and training and making sure that we have the resources we need.
Yeah. I think that would, I'm sorry, Jeff, I
No,
am
go
going to
ahead.
interject. I think that that would help a lot with the turnover aspect of this. And of course, we're all worried about students in Massachusetts, considering we're coming out of the pandemic, and some of the testing scores are a little bit lower than they were before. So we got to fill those gaps, and we have to figure out a way to reach out to those students. So I think that teachers being effective and feeling supported will help in that.
So I have a bit of more of a challenging question, Chris. Okay, so this is one you're going to probably get more on the campaign trail, and as the race gets tighter and starts to heat up. It's related to schools, right? So you know, with COVID, the parents across the country got a firsthand look at what their kids were being taught. And this gets more into the culture war stuff nationally. And I know you're running for, what is essentially a local office to be governor of the Commonwealth, and I respect that. But the politics and the culture war agenda has seeped, or I should say has been a flood into a lot of classrooms, right? And a lot of parents are concerned about it. Not parents that are necessarily overly political or activists or things like that, but they're normal parents, and they just scratch their head. It's like, what is going on? It's not reading, it's not writing, it's not arithmetic. So you have Ron DeSantis in Florida pushing legislation or passing legislation that that codifies that, you know what, we're going to get this out of the schools. Like, there shouldn't be a political or social justice curriculum that pushes some sort of agenda. What is your opinion on that? I think Glenn Youngkin has looked at something similar in Virginia. I'd like to get your opinion on that, because I think it hits home to maybe, more parents than you think who'd be willing to support. I think a candidate would say, you know what, let's leave the classroom as neutral ground. Did we freeze? Oh, crap. Did we freeze? Did we? All right, we're back. How much of that did you get?
We're back.
I think we got your question.
Okay.
I think what I would like to do is treat parents that have children in the public school system in like Amazon Prime customers. Like, our top customers of our state are parents that have children in the school system. And so what I'd like to do is set up a call line for all parents directly to the executive branch. If they have any concerns about what their children are being taught, public education falls underneath the governor. And I think I'd like to have a direct line, sort of like I have in my business with customer satisfaction, where I read reports, or I did before I retired, on how happy customers were. And so what I'd like to do is set up a call line. If a parent feels like a child is being taught something that's not age appropriate, or they're not satisfied with the teaching, they can call the executive branch and issue a formal complaint. And we'll collect complaints, we'll analyze them. I like analyzing complaints because you get better once you know your complaints. And then we'll call the school districts in. If we're getting a lot of complaints from one particular school or a class or a teacher, we'll call in the school administrators and say, look, you have a problem here, and we want to see your root cause and corrective action and fix it. We want parents to be satisfied with the schools. And I want to measure parent satisfaction. So let's say I take office, whatever, let's say we're at 40%. My goal is to improve it by 10%. So this is what I've done for 30 years, is improve satisfaction. And so I'd like to measure parental satisfaction and improve it. And I'd like to commit to the voters that if you hire Governor Doughty, he's going to spike down on how satisfied you feel as a parent. And if I don't do better, and I'm going to show the parents how well I'm doing on satisfaction. If I don't do better, then fire me, because I'm going to make sure we do better on keeping parents satisfied.
All right. Well, good. I like that, because I think there needs to be more feedback from parents if they are unsatisfied with what's taking place in the school. And when it comes from the top, people are going to listen. Kaitlin, any questions on your end? Are we frozen again? Zoom is being zoomed.
I know. No, I'm good. I liked your answer on parent feedback. And, in Massachusetts, we have school choice. And I think that that's a really good program that the rest of the country, of course, on the state level, can benefit from. But our kids have been benefiting from it from the early 90s. But I do think that, we do have this I'm actually from Kentucky, so we are counties down there, but we're towns up here. The town system does help a lot with keeping public schools really awesome. But I think allowing parents to have more of an active role and that being invited to give those answers, to give that feedback, I think that does help a lot with public schools and how you can create a community.
So, a bit of housekeeping. Chris, what is the website for people to learn more about your campaign?
Well, thank you. It's chris4ma.com. So chrisforma.com. And there's a tab called Platform. And we're a campaign that's putting out lots of platforms. So we want people to hire us, not just because we're running a good campaign, but because we have things we want to do. And I want to go to the state legislature and say, I was hired with this platform in place. This is what I want to do. And they hired me to do these things. So we need you to get on board with these things that we're planning on doing.
So the primary for those who pull a Republican ballot, and I think Maura Healey,
Republicans and Indies
and independents. So yep,
if you are a registered independent, you are allowed to ask for the Republican ballot. We would like you to. And we would like for you to, we're pulling for Chris Doughty here. So
yes, Kaitlin and I were delegates at convention for Chris. Look, the bottom line is, like I played in the first ad, Jeff Deal will lose by like 100 in November, and it's not even going to be that close. We need somebody serious. I want serious candidates who have serious solutions and are running serious campaigns, and Chris is one of those people. So go to chrisforma.com to help support his campaign. Go out Tuesday, or early voting has started. Go vote for him. Pull a primary ballot in the Republican primary. The correct primary for any primary across the country is the Republican primary. Chris, it's been a pleasure having you on. Good luck next Tuesday. Hopefully we can join you and celebrate a victory with you, because I think you've done a fantastic job by far, and you're working your tail off, man. I mean, I see you everywhere. Like, that is one thing I am seeing that I'm certainly not seeing out of Jeff Deal, is like you are everywhere, shaking hands, kissing babies, doing media, doing the whole thing, all over the state, crisscrossing it. There's nobody working harder than you for this office, and that includes Maura Healey, because she's sitting back. She's resting on her laurels, and she's going to continue to do that. And when you win on Tuesday, you're going to chip away at that lead, and it's going to be a big surprise come November for everybody, all of the pundits who, there is an air of what, air upset. I smell upset in the air, and I think it'll happen for you, and I definitely are wishing you the best of luck.
Yeah, I do have to say, Chris, I live in Salem, and I see yard signs for you speckled all over the place, and I never see Republican signs in Salem.
I saw one of your signs in Alston. Yeah. So that goes to show you how in deep
how
blue
persuasive,
Alston,
awesome this campaign has been.
Yeah.
We're really proud to be a part of it. So yeah.
Well, hey, and just thank you both for the podcast, also the support at the convention. I also want to just plug Kate Campanelli. So I humbly ask for everybody's vote, but also for my running mate, who is wonderful. I've now had 8 months of working with Kate, and she's bright, intelligent, a great legislator. She brings that experience from the House Ways and Means Committee, and she's super hardworking. And the thing is, she's really kind and good and wants to do the right things as a public servant. So I think the state will come to love Kate Campanelli. I think we'll have one of the finest lieutenant governors really in our state history. So anyway, we appreciate the support for Doughty Campanelli, and we look forward to getting through this primary and challenging Maura Healey on where she wants to take our state. We'll be like San Francisco, statewide San Francisco with Maura Healey here. And so we look forward to challenging her on her ideas. And we're going to charge her money for stealing my ideas. It seems like every time I go with the idea, she's starting to steal it now. So we're going to send her an invoice and say, okay, now you're trying to be me. So you got to pay me for it.
Yeah, that should tell the entire Commonwealth something. All right, is that she's running on making the state more affordable. That's there's no bold progressive vision. It's the bold progressive vision results in homelessness and people pooping on the street. So we don't want that.
Taxing even more on a surplus, right?
Yeah. All right. We're going to let you go, Chris. I know it's been a long day. We appreciate that. For more content from us, plug, go to patreon.com/rhinopod, only $1 a month for those. We get into deep dives about what's going on into the world of conservatism. We thank all of our subscribers. We thank you for tuning in. We really appreciated this. Chris, great luck on Tuesday. We wish you the best. And until next time, everybody, have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.